What about the night qualifying? Are you worried about that?
No, I think we are no plan or be ready for trade. I think we are safe for the top 20, so we are ready if you have to put 1 second to the lap, but I'm quite happy.
You look so calm. I mean, I expected you to be a bit more happy being the fastest man currently.
Because it was 1 hour ago already, so now I'm calm. No, but it's good, but it's 24-hour race. So.
And how important is qualifying to you in a 24-hour race?
Quite a dominant race from Jasmine. Let's see, make some mistake maybe on the first lap or get some damage, and who knows, it could open things up. Mandatory pit stop in this race, they can undertake that at any time, but they'd be silly to take it straight away because you can't do a full race. You can't do much more than an hour on one tank of fuel. So drivers will be trying to long it out as much as they can through the first half hour, and I imagine we'll be seeing the first pit stops coming in up towards maybe the half an hour mark. Most drivers will be trying to go to about 45 minutes to split it in half. You'll have drivers like Recco who usually leave it till the last minute and try and stay out as long as they can before coming in to make their pit stop. But nonetheless, we've got a few comments coming in on the stream right now. We got Archibald, that's Archie there, starting P7, saying good luck lads. John Jig says come on Rich, stick it on pole. And Archie saying I lost it out, Eau Rouge. Tina says good evening, welcome along Tina, good to see you as always. John Jig says good luck Pete and Rich. Pete currently lining up in P9, and Guitar Rich has retired from the race before it even got going. So a massive shame there for him. Codlungi's not even readied up for the start of the race.
Yeah.
So Codlungi will be starting this one from the pits then. And that is not where he wants to be starting this race, I'm sure.
Andy, I'm going to hand it over to you for the next 5 minutes.
Well, here we are on the formation lap then, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting ready to go racing for the third round of the GT3 League here on ACC at Motive on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Obviously cross-play on the PlayStation 4 version. John Jig says, Rich has brake issues, real ones, yeah. Real brake issues. But you can see the drivers here just coming down the Camel Straight, just warming up their tyres, making sure they're in a nice window so they'll be ready to go racing proper. You got Lightblade in the comments, says, sup guys, welcome Lightblade, good to see you as always. Regular racer on Project Cars 2 here at Motive, races in the Clio Cup on a Monday night. He's actually the championship leader in the Clio Cup on Project Cars 2. And no guessing who's got this one. Yeah, I think we all could have probably put our houses on that one, to be perfectly honest with you. But who knows what might happen over the course of a race. You know, Jazzman could make a mistake, he could bin it, he could have a little bit of an incident, and you know, you never know what might happen if Jazzman were to have a slip or make a mistake, or, you know, end up in the barriers or something. Eau Rouge on the first lap with cold tyres. Never say never, you know, but it's hard to bet against him here. As we've got Nightbot there saying, if you like what we do, please support us on Patreon for some cool perks. It's a long time since we've done any sort of stuff on Patreon, but who knows, you know, if people want, we can certainly add some incentive to that, but yeah, we shall see. Scuderia Paul says, evening racers, welcome Scuderia Paul. You used to race with us here on the on Sunday nights on our PlayStation GT3 League, and race with us on the PS5 as well when we briefly ran leagues on the PS5. We've halted our PS5 leagues for the time being, down to the fact that the spectator mode isn't great, so we're going to just keep that on the back burner for the time being until such a time when we've got that sorted out. But the 13 drivers that are going to take this start are just coming into Campus Corner down towards Stavelot. Codlinger sat in the pit at the moment, so he'll have to wait for them all to go by, but he should be able to go as soon as they've all driven past the pit lane. But he'll be aching to get out there. They also have the disadvantage of cold tyres to start the race, so that's not going to be particularly ideal for him. Scooter Paul says, I'm back for PS5 leagues from September onwards also. Yep, hopefully we can set up the PS5 leagues again from September, mate. If the spectator mode is fixed, then we will definitely be all over that. That's a guarantee. Because your boys actually got PS5. I got it specifically, really, to accommodate for the ACC PS5 leagues here. And then it just, yeah, kind of all went a bit wrong. But here we are anyway, just coming through the final few corners now. You might be getting a bit excited at this point. You might be thinking, all right, come on, we're about to start the race now. It's time to get cracking. But what you might not know is that actually the race doesn't start until you get around La Source and across the second little straight. Because in some reason, in the GT3s, although the timing line is the line on the straight between this bus stop chicane here and La Source, the hairpin, the actual start for the green flag is between La Source and Eau Rouge, so a bit of a strange thing there, but I don't actually know why that is, but it is the way it is. So here we are anyway, we're coming double file here, as we are, oh actually I don't know, do we start here maybe? I don't know, I'm sure we goes around the corner.
We start going down towards the Rouge because this is the 24-hour layout.
Yes.
Which the 24-hour starts going down towards Rouge.
Although the timing line for qualifying is on the same start finish straight as the F1, which is just a bit weird.
Yeah, so that's obviously how they do it. So at the end of the 24-hour, they cross the line there. They're doing a whole lap, they just do a U-turn into the pit lane.
It makes sense, save them going an extra corner, but nonetheless, here we are anyway, coming up towards the line, about to go racing here for the 90-minute endurance race here at Spa. No extra points, just a bit of pride at stake and obviously an extra element thrown into the mix. As here we are, we're racing now up towards Eau Rouge for the first time. Jasmine ahead of Bracco, ahead of Didi. Spud's there in fourth. You've got Nilsson trying to defend from Grey Wolf as they're coming through Eau Rouge and Radion for the first time. And it looks like we're all through cleanly. Codlungu's now getting going. He's now pulling out of his pit box down towards the end of the pit lane. As we've got Recco trying to defend from Didi coming down towards their cone. Didi's going to be looking to the outside here. Recco's defending the inside line as Spud's is also on the attack just behind them. But in fact, I think Recco's managed to hold on there from Didi coming through their cone. As you've got Spud there in the background ahead of Nilsson, followed by Grey Wolf. Diamenta there in seventh, has got ahead of Archie. Pete Biv in ninth, ahead of Denny, followed by Torde, I'm Slow Windsor and Codlungu running a long way behind. Has got a lot of work to do here in this race, but Jazzman has already opened up a second of a gap here to Recco. Didi there running in third place, has got Spud pretty close on the back of him. But at this point, it looks like Jazzman in cruise control already here in this race. Couldn't have got a better start if he had tried any harder there. As Archie's now looking to the inside of Diamenta, coming down towards Buon for the first time. Archie, though, I think is a little bit too far back to come on the inside there. Pete Bibbers to try and come around the outside here. He's also got Denny Boy on the back of him. Denny Boy a bit wide there, coming out of Buon, but Torde not close enough to make anything happen just there. I'm stuck on the back of Denny, and Denny, oh, he spins him out. So Denny there's just lost it there, coming through campus into the wall. We can have a bit of damage there. Oh, it's Windsor there, tries to take away some action and spins it as well into the gravel. So both of those two, Denny Boy and Windsor in the wars here on the first lap. And Cod is going to come past Windsor up into P13, but that's one driver picked off the Cod in this race. But quite a few more still to come. It's going to be actually exciting to watch Cod's progress throughout this race. See where he can get up to in this one, but it's Jazzman already with a 3-second lead as we're coming to the end of the first lap. Recco there in second ahead of Didi, followed by Spud. You've got Nilsson there in fifth ahead of Grey Wolf. You've got Diamenta there just behind him. Archie, Pete, Biv, I am slow there running in the final top 10 position. You've got Torde ahead of Denny Boy. Denny Boy with the damage on that McLaren though. That's going to be it's going to be struggling at this point in the race. Is he going to come in and get that damage fixed, or is he going to wait until he can put a full tank of fuel in and go to the end? Cod running in P13, having got ahead of Windsor, who's also got a bit of damage on the front of that car. Jazzman though with a very, very healthy lead at the front, and Didi and Spud are on the back of Recco, but Didi's dropped a little bit off the back of Recco. Spud is now really putting the pressure on Didi for this podium spot.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I just looked back at the Denny and Slow.
Oh, we lost a driver. We've lost somebody. Who's that? It must have been disconnection because it wasn't somebody down towards the back. Torde's out. No, not Torde.
Oh, Jazzman's gone.
No way! No way! No way! Oh my god.
There's either be a start of mass disconnection or
No. Imagine if he gets himself back in now and then he'll start near enough a lap down. If he's able to get back in.
I mean, I could do the same thing.
Oh yeah, you couldn't get back in either, could you?
I mean, I could try, but do.
Stay in, mate, it's better.
You know, you can get in-race commentary.
Yeah, you'd be too far behind, it wouldn't be fun for you.
No, because it's an hour and a half.
Well, the massive development right here is that Jazzman, the race leader, has disconnected on the second lap of the race, and that has now given the lead to Recco. Jazzman already had a healthy 3-second gap out the front, but it's all gone very quickly down the pan for him. And Recco Vantage now finds himself with the ascendancy. Recco took the win last week at the Hungara Ring, and so far in this one he looks like he's managed to pull out a bit of a gap here over Didi Spud. He's very close on the back of Didi right now, 4/10 of a second separating those two. You've got Nilsson on his way back, running in P4. Diamenta there in 5th, has got Grey Wolf within 2 seconds. As we see, Ryan has managed to get himself in the race, or has he? As Archie is now looking around the outside of Grey Wolf, but has to back out, and he gets tagged in the rear by P-Fib. Oh, and I'm Slow gets him, well, has nowhere to go really, and just gets tagged as well. P-Fib there had nowhere to go, and unfortunately there, that was all a chain reaction. And Archie gets through it relatively unscathed compared to the others. Grey Wolf now looking down the inside of P-Fib into the source. I'm Slow just behind these as Grey Wolf there. Looks like he has got that move done, and now P-Fib is looking on the back of Archie here. Sorry, not Archie, I mean I'm Slow. P-Fib, sorry, trying to get back on the rear end of I'm Slow. But Recco Vantage out the front has got just under a 2-second gap here to Didi. Spud there running in 3rd place. It's going to be a hard night tonight because I'm really the only commentator. I know Ryan's out on the track and he says he's commentating, but he's not really commentating now, he's out on track. And this is going to be a long 90 minutes for me, I tell you.
It won't, you'll still have me here. I mean, it's going to be...
Yeah, but you have no idea what's going on aside from what's happening from your own cockpit. Yeah, let's be real. You have literally no idea what's going on the track in regards to anything other than what's going on in your cockpit. That's all you know about.
I can still see the whole map.
Yeah, so could I. But Recco currently running in P1 at the moment. It's got a 1.7 second gap over Didi. You've got Spud there running in that final podium spot. But the top three all seem to be matching each other quite well at the moment. Jazzman in the comments said, well, that is disappointing. First disconnection ever on this game. You know, you can join back to it, Jazzman. You can get in the session again. It's a bit late now. If you'd jumped back in straight away, you might have still been in a reasonably. You could have still won if you got in straight away.
Now, you might still be.
He's not going to win now because it will now be 2 laps down as they're coming round. So he's not going to win. He might end up maybe in the top. Could end up in the top 5 if he got back in now. But he's not going to win. Recco Vantage opening up over gap. Yeah, so Ryan will be with us very shortly. But you've got Didi there running in P2 just ahead of Spud. Top 3 have well and truly gapped Nilsson, who's got Diamenta closing him in a little bit. I'm Slow currently on the back of Grey Wolf. P-Fib is now with these as well again. So these three continue to fight it out. Grey Wolf wide coming out of Blanchemont into the bus stop chicane they come. I'm Slow looking to the outside. Grey Wolf carving that line off. As P-Fib there waiting in the wing. Torde is actually reeling in these guys now. So Torde making a few gains, but these guys in front of him have got a bit of damage and he'll be trying to capitalise on that if he can. But currently Grey Wolf still heading in this 4-car battle for P7, and these drivers are 5 seconds clear of Denny Boy running in P11 at this point. Recco Vantage continuing to open up a gap. He's got 2.7 seconds over Didi, and Jazzman is back in the session, but he is 2 laps down due to the fact that he was obviously disconnected for a couple of minutes. Yeah, because he's completed a lap. He's completed 1 lap. Recco Vantage has completed 3. So he's 2.5 laps behind Recco Vantage, and he won't be able to move straight away either. So he's going to have to wait about 30 seconds until he can actually move.
It's a minute and 30 seconds before
Yeah, we can see Spud looking to the inside on Didi. These two are on a battle for second place, but they're losing time to the leader, Recco. Nilsson's fallen well and truly back into the clutches of Dimenta at this point. You can see Dimenta looming low. In fact, Dimenta's got ahead of him. Dimenta's... No, has he? No, hold on. No. Dimenta's made a mistake. He's dropped back into the clutches of Archie. That's Archie behind Dimenta. To apologise. How did I get those mixed up? The big bright Bentley and a Lexus. How on earth did I get them mixed up? Nonetheless, though, Archie's looking to the inside of Dimenta, coming down towards Campus, but Dimenta's got that inside line and covered him off. But Dimenta, it says on the timing screen, he's 4/10 behind Nilsson, so I wonder if them two had a bit of an incident, or maybe he just lost it by himself. Nonetheless, he's got work to do to bring that gap back down to what it was. Spuzz is on the back of Didi, is 6/10 of a second separating them two, but they're losing time to lead in the Recco as we speak. As Grey Wolf has still got that train of cars behind him. I am so Pete Biv and Torde. As Torde's lost about a couple of seconds to these so far on this lap. He's now 1.6 adrift to Pete Biv, and that's now going up. So Torde seems to have had a bit of a nightmare on this lap. Grey Wolf still keeping I Am So at bay just, but I Am So's got a good run here, coming through into this final sector of the lap here. Lap 4 of the race for these guys. Is I Am Slow close enough to make a move coming into the bus stop. As Pete Biv here looking to the outside. I Am Slow's showing his nose there to Grey Wolf into the bus stop. Goes a little bit wide onto the curb on the outside, but he's going to go around the outside here. Grey Wolf is going to the inside for the second part of the bus stop. And great move there from I Am Slow. Grey Wolf gave him the space on the outside. Very courteous driving there from Grey Wolf. A bit too polite if you ask me. I think he was just trying to avoid an accident. But I Am Slow nonetheless up into P7. Jazzman is coming out of the pits there, we hear from Ryan, who's out on the track as I Am So completes the move there on Grey Wolf. Pete Bibb will be eyeing up Grey Wolf in a moment's time, and Torde's already pulled up onto the back of him since dropping off on that previous lap with that little mistake. There is Jazzman just coming down the Camel straight, so he'll be looking to try and unlap himself on these runners just here, but he is now 3 laps behind. In fact, more than that, he is about, he's 3 laps behind Recco Vantage, the race, 3.5 laps behind him, so he might, I don't know, I'll tell you what, it'd be exciting to see if he can catch him up. That would be quite a tall order, but I wouldn't bet against him managing it. But he's certainly not going to win this race, Jazzman, unfortunately for him, disconnecting there on the second lap of this race. Didi's still running in second place, with Spuzz right on the back of him. These two haven't lost too much time to Recco over this lap so far. Nilsson still on the back of the Dementa's got ahead of Nilsson, and Archie's right with them as well. So Nilsson's dropped it somewhere. Nilsson is now 10 seconds off of the back of Spuzz. Dimenta's now ahead of him in 4th place. Archie's right on them still, as you can see. I Am Slow has managed to pull out a bit of a gap to Grey Wolf over the course of this lap. You can see that's just over a second now between those two. Pete Bibb, Torde still just behind them. Denny Boy has been reeling in I Am So, Grey Wolf, Pete Bibb and Torde over the last few laps. Denny Boy obviously had the mistake on the first lap, which dropped him out of contention in this mid-pack battle. He's now been making those gains. Wins are still going in P12. You've got Kodlungu running in P13. Seems to have dropped it again. He did briefly get ahead of Windsor on the first lap, but they haven't been able to check out Cod too much over the course of this race. My blade was saying in the comments, Cod lost to first. I don't think that's going to happen, my blade, unfortunately. But Jazzman very disappointed with his disconnection. My blade saying we may now have a competitive race on our hands. We may well, but Recco seems to have to measure over Didi, but he's not massively quicker than Didi and Spuzz, to be fair. He's not in another league from them, but he's certainly, he's certainly got a slight edge over them at this point. Didi's still running in second place. Spuzz has dropped off him a little bit over the course of this lap that we're on right now. Pete Bibb has dropped off of Grey Wolf a little bit. Grey Wolf has fallen off the back of I Am So. I Am Slow now trying to chase after the leaders, but he's got a long way to go to get there. Grey Wolf though has got Pete Bibb not too far off of him. Denny Boy has managed to get ahead of Torde, so Denny are now up into the top 10. And Denny's now going to try and make the move on Pete Bibb coming down the Camel straight. Here we go, Denny's got a lovely run. Pete Bibb looked like he was a bit compromised coming through Radion. And here we go, Denny Boy now pulling out the slipstream, looking to the inside, up towards Lacombe they come. I think this is going to be job done here for Denny. Or can Pete Bibb go late on the brakes coming into the corner. No, Denny Boy, oh, Denny Boy's deep. Denny Boy's deep, and Pete Bibb's going to try and get the cut back. Denny can't get it done, and Pete Bibb there beautifully executing the cut back there and gets P9 back straight away as he goes wide there, coming to the next right-hander, but holds onto that. And Pete Bibb there showing his experience here on this ACC game, especially in this Wednesday league here at Motive, and wily defensive driving there from him. As Archie's on the back of Nilsson here, these two battling it out over 5th and 6th places. They've dropped off at the back of Dimenta. Dimenta's now got a 3-second gap to them. Spaz is still on the back of Didi, but hasn't been able to make any impression. These two nearly 5 seconds now off of the race leader Recco at this point. Pete Bibb is, has he lost out to Denny now? No, he has, yeah, he's still got, so obviously Denny had slightly moved ahead of him coming through the sector point, so it's showing Denny is ahead, but obviously Pete Bibb did take that position straight back when Denny ended up locking up coming into Lacoon and going a little bit wide. But nonetheless, Pete Bibb is now closed up onto the back of Grey Wolf a bit. I am so continuing to pull away from these guys, but he's not really making inroads on Nilsson and Archie. He's matching Dimenta, Nilsson and Archie at the moment. Obviously those three running in 4th, 5th and 6th. I'm so now he's in clear air. He's doing decent pace compared to them, but he's not really gaining, I'd say, at this stage. But nonetheless, IMSTO could be a shout for a top 4 here. I think the podium spots have been pretty much locked out by Recco, Didi and Spud, barring any disconnections. But I think at this point, IMSTO could maybe sneak himself into the top 4 if he can do this on strategy, because we know he's a good tyre saver. We saw last week at the Hungary, he managed to make a set of tyres last the entire race in quite hot conditions as well. So if anybody can do it, if anybody can run a decent race in a 90-minute, it could be this man here that we're watching right now. So we'll keep an eye on his progress. Spud's still on the back of Didi that's coming down the hill towards Brussels. Archie's on the back of Nilsson but still can't find a way through up into P5. These two still around 2 seconds behind Dimenta, so they're not really gaining and not really falling off of him. IMSTO still 11 seconds behind Nilsson and Archie, so he's also matching those two. Denny is now right on the back of Pete Bibb again, and he still hasn't been able to make the move coming through the cone, as Pete Bibb is still doing what he has to do. Torre still on the back of these guys running in P10 at the moment, as Grey Wolf is in the pits to make his mandatory pit stop here at the end of lap 6. But Spaz at the moment is still on the back of Didi, as those two battling out over 2nd and 3rd. Recco's got the gap up to 6 seconds now between himself and Didi, so he is just eking out that gap. He's just increasing the tempo and keeping it cush, keeping it nice, not making any mistakes. He's not going too ham at this point. I mean, probably is, but he's just a little bit more than what Didi and Spaz have at this stage in the race. Nilsson and Archie running in 5th and 6th. We've got 4 tenths currently separating those two. Right now, Denny's still really close on the back of Pete Bibb. He's actually lost a bit of time coming through the middle sector. So, noticing a pattern here, Pete Bibb, actually, ironically, considering he's in the Lexus and Denny's in the McLaren, Pete Bibb seems really quick through the middle sector, and then Denny seems to close on him in the faster sections, in the 1st and 3rd, which is actually very counterintuitive, because for those of you who know the Lexus well will know that it's a beast on the straights and not too great through the corners. The McLaren, the complete opposite. But right now, the McLaren of Denny Boy seems to be gaining down the straights and losing hand over fist of time through the middle sector. As here we come, out of the last corner, down the start finish straight we come. He's going to have a little look, show his nose there to Pete Bibb, but Pete Bibb's not paid one bit. Knows that there's nothing doing there. Oh, and we can see a collision between the 2nd and 3rd places. Spaz and Didi have crashed coming into Lacoon. And where's Dimenta? Dimenta's nowhere to be seen. That was a lap car there, just making their way through the scene of the accident. But there's been a big incident there between those two, Spaz and Didi. Have they got damage? As we can see, Didi's taking a bit longer to get going than Spaz has. Spaz is now coming through Brussels at this point. As you can see, one of the lap cars moved through there ahead of them, but that's not the plan for those two. They're now miles behind Recco. Recco will be grinning from ear to ear now, because he's now got a massive gap out the front of this pack. But what a shame there for Spaz and Didi. They've been battling it out for some time, and Didi had lost out to Spuz. Spuz had finally nabbed him into P2. I wonder if Didi had tried a late braking manoeuvre to try and hold onto the position, but nonetheless, those two now are nowhere to be seen. Where's Dimenta? That's the question that I'm now wondering here. Dimenta's about two. Yeah, he's about 2 or 3 seconds behind Didi at this point, but Didi is nowhere near Spuz, so Spuz clearly picked himself up a bit quicker than Didi did. Now, the big question is what damage have these guys got, because if they've got big damage, then that might be affecting their lap times, at which point Dimenta will definitely be brought into this fight. But saying that, Dimenta's made a mistake coming to the middle sector. That gap between Didi and Dimenta is now up at nearly 4.5 seconds. But Didi is 3 seconds behind Spuz, and Spuz is nearly 15 seconds behind the race leader Racco Vartage, who has now been handed a bit of an easy run here, for now at least. As Denny is still on the back of P-Bib, but it's dropped off a bit coming to the middle sector, as per what we've seen over the last few laps. Archie's still on the back of Nielsen, as these two are battling out over 5th and 6th though. Pardon me. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, it's a shame for Spuz and Didi there. They were showing really good pace. I mean, when they passed me, they were nose to bumper sort of thing.
Yeah, it is a massive shame, and with the gap being not a massive amount between Racco and those two, I kind of was clinging to the hope that maybe we might be seeing a bit of strategy coming into it. But I think that's been kind of blown out of the water, at least for the time being. You know, whether or not we might be seeing a split, maybe. I wonder if any drivers are going to try and do the whole race on one set of tyres. 90 minutes, you'd think not, but some people might just chance it for a roll of the dice. Why not?
I mean,
you know, it could be a chance to nick a race win.
There would be Jasmine. With that disconnect, he will have fresh tyres on the rejoin. You might be able to pull an 80-minute stint on one tyre.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nigh on impossible. I guess he's got the pace to make up a couple of laps on some of these drivers out here, that's the thing.
I mean, so far this lap he's pulled second and a half.
Yeah, Jazzman obviously started this race on pole position and had a couple of seconds of a lead out front at the end of the first lap, but then was disconnected on the second lap and took about 5 minutes to get himself back in the session. So he has lost a lot of ground on the leaders here. Oh, is Denny done or is Denny still trying to do Pete Bibb in that battle for 8th and 9th places, but he still can't find a way through. Pete Bibb's just keeping to his guns here. He's not making any mistakes. Not only cracks to form, Denny's been trying. I said before that the McLaren just doesn't seem to have the pace to the middle sector, which is completely against everything that I've ever thought or believed in terms of the Lexus. I've always thought it's a bit of a machine down the straights and then a bit of a combine harvester through the corners, but right now Pete Bibb seems really strong through the middle part of that, where all of the twisty, tight, slower corners are. And Pete Bibb, for some reason, seems like he's losing quite a lot of time to Denny coming down the straights, the long straights, you know, in the first and third sectors. This is the part of the track where Denny Boy's rapid and is closing the gap up here to him. At the moment, it's as you were between these two. As once again through La Source and Pete Bibb getting a much better run out of La Source, which is just giving him a little bit of breathing space there. And it's meaning that Denny's got too much work to do by the time he gets to Eau Rouge and Radion. Here they come up towards it now, keeping a close eye on this. If Denny can get a good run here, he might have a chance. Or Pete Bibb very wide through Radion. Extremely wide. I'd be very surprised he didn't get a track limit warning for that. Down the Camel Straight they come. Pete Bibb's got enough of a gap at the moment. Archie's dropped back to almost a second now behind Nilsson in that battle for 5th and 6th places. Racco's gap to Spuz isn't going up, so Spuz and Didi, for all their incident, they seem to have got away without damage, because they don't seem to be losing any more time to Recco. So I think they maybe just had a bit of a tap and a bit of a spin. But other than that, all's well. As I say that, Recco gained half a second through that middle sector, but yeah, I don't know. Difficult to know, because on the outside, you know, on the face of it, the cars don't look too badly bruised, but you never know what could be going on underneath it as well. So it's a difficult one to be able to judge, but at this point these two don't look like they've really had much disadvantage from that collision. In the meantime though, Denny's still on the back of Pete Bibb and still can't find a way through. Pete once again rapid through this middle sector, has got the gap to almost a second here. In fact, it's over a second now. So Pete Bibb has just extended that a little bit. John Jig in the comments says that McLaren must be close to a drive-through for track limits. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Pete, John, Pete, John. John Jig obviously teammates with Pete Bibb for the last few seasons, but not able to make every race this season, so he's racing as a reserve for the ones he can make. He's also racing on Sunday nights for the Sprint Championship when he can as well. But obviously chiming in and supporting his mate here tonight. Pete's managed to pull out a bit of a gap here to Denny over the course of this lap, and that looks like it's actually come down a bit through the final sector again. So it just dips under a second there as they come over the line. But Recco's gap to Spars didn't go up at all that lap. In fact, Spars was a couple of tenths quicker, so did make some very small gains. Didi also gained a little bit of time on Spars. Archie is within half a second of Nilsson at the moment as well. And Denny a little bit too far back at the moment, I think, to do anything coming down the Camel straight into Lacombe. So he's going to have to sit patiently and wait for his chances here. Jazzman running in P14, having missed about 5 minutes of the race, disconnected on lap 2, had to rejoin, but found himself 3 laps down on the way through the Recco Vantage. A lot of work to do for him as Recco's lost it. Oh, Recco has a bit of a spin there coming into the final sector. Who was that in front of him? He was just coming round to put a lap on some traffic. Grey Wolf. Yeah, it was great. It was Grey Wolf. He was coming to lap, and you can see there's another driver who's just coming around to well, trying to unmap himself on him, but Jazzman. Who's the other one behind Jazzman? Yeah, but that's Jazzman there just in front of Recco. So Recco obviously with that mistake, he got a little bit, just seemed to be losing the back end as they were coming into that final sector there. We just flicked to him, the gap down to 12 seconds, so he lost about 3 seconds there. I mean, Grey Wolf, a very clean, fair driver. I don't think it was Grey Wolf's mistake. I think Recco just got a bit distracted, and maybe it was the fact that Jazzman was closing in on him as well. Potentially that was just playing on his mind a bit. Nonetheless though, Jazzman has got ahead of Recco and is now pulling away from him. In fact, he's now done Grey Wolf, so Jazzman continuing to really pump in the laps here. But Recco Vance has just got to play it cool here. He just needs to not get ahead of himself. I know it's easily done. You can see Jazzman flying around the track and just, you know, pumping in the lap times. There's some silly lap times here from Jazzman, but ultimately Recco doesn't need to fight him. He just needs to drive his own race here. I know it's easier said than done, but he just needs to keep calm, because if he tries to race Jazzman, he could end up pinning it into the wall, and then he could lose this race win, and that is going to hurt his championship, and that is the last thing that he needs here in this race. He needs consistent points, because we don't know. Say for example, if Jazzman is able to make the remaining races in this season, Recco needs to bag these points, and he needs to make these count. But Spar's running in P2, 12 seconds behind Recco at this point. Doesn't look like Recco's picked up any damage. Spar's obviously seemed to have got away with that contact with Didi quite lightly. So did Didi, to be fair, both of them with minimal damage on the cars, clearly not affecting the performance very much at all. Archie's still on the back of Nilsson running in. These guys battling it out over P5 and P6. Denny boy still hasn't been able to get ahead of Pete, really. He's been on the back of him now for about 10 laps, and he has not found a way through. He's been trying his absolute damnedest, but no opportunities seem to have opened up at this point. Archie's still on the back of Nilsson here in this battle for P5 and 6. Didi got a gap at 3 seconds behind Spud. Spud has dropped off his record a bit over this lap. The gap went up to about 12.5 seconds through the middle sector. We'll keep an eye on it as Spud comes over the line here to complete lap 12 of the race. So Spud actually gained 3/10 on Recco through the final sector. Spud seems quick through the final sector. Recco's very quick through the middle. But the gap 12 seconds between the top two at the moment, and Didi matching these as well. So I would say it's not over for the race win, Spud and Didi for sure. Recco's not got comfort out the front. He's not in splendid isolation. Let's say that. As there's Recco just putting a lap there on a Bentley. That's Jazzman. That is Jazzman. Now has Jazzman got a problem here, because Jazzman was just coasting off of the throttle there. I wonder if Jazzman's got a problem. Because to me, he looks like he's limping around at the moment. I'm not quite sure what has happened here. But yeah, he does not seem to be moving around at the pace that we're used to seeing from him. Riding on board now, you can hear that he's not pushing it. He's just laying off of Recco a bit here. The gap down up to 3.5 now. And yeah, Jazzman is certainly not giving it full beans back, that's for sure. 4 seconds the gap goes up to. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what's happening there. Obviously Jazzman, for those of you who are tuning in, seeing Jazzman down in P14 in the race, thinking, what has happened? Well, he disconnected on the second lap of the race. He started on pole, he'd opened up a couple of seconds of the lead, and then lap 2, boom, gone. Disconnected from the race. Took him about 5 minutes to get back in the session, and was 3 laps down on Recco Vantage at the time that he came out. He's then come round and unlapped himself on Recco, and now he seems to have had a bit of a problem of some sort. We're not sure what, but he is now 5.5 seconds behind Recco on the track. But he seems to have got on top of whatever it was, so he seems to have fixed the issue and seems to be pushing it. He seems to be giving it some now. So yeah, not 100% what's going on there, but nonetheless, Recco Vantage, your race leader, has got a 12-second gap at the moment over Spud. Didi's still running in P3, 4 seconds behind Spud at the moment. We've got Nilsson, who's actually closed in on Dimenta. Dimenta now having to defend as he pushes Nilsson to the edge of the track there. Nilsson all over the marbles on the exit of Blanchimont. Jazzman is in the pit, so that explains really why he was going slow. He's obviously got some kind of damage on the car. Nilsson has now got Archie looking to the inside into the bus stop chicane, but Archie's a little bit too far back, and Dimenta weathers that storm and holds on there. But Nilsson was looking pretty racy through that final sector, but still Dimenta running in that in P4 at the moment. And I'm so used to commentating with Ryan that in the first few weeks, mate, right, I've had probably about 3 hiccups over the course of the first 3 weeks of racing. In this race alone, I've already had 3 hiccups. All with Denny coming through my stop there, just struggling to get a hold of it. But my hiccups come from talking too much, and it's an issue that I don't usually have when Ryan's in the box with me. But when I'm commentating by myself, it's an issue that is constantly rearing its ugly head. As Denny's now dropped to about a second off the back of Pete Bibb. Like this has got a feeling that it's for Jazzman. Yeah. And the thing is, I don't know really why Jazzman was going so slow and struggling on that last lap, but clearly he had some kind of issue, and he has come in to get that damage fixed, whatever it is. But he can come and make his mandatory pit stop now if he wants. You know, it's obviously you've got to make it at some point between the start and the end of the race, 90 minutes in total, so he's clearly making it now. But he seems to have been in that box for a long time.
Yeah, he went into the pit lane and then returned to the garage.
So he's maybe changing the setup a bit or something. He's maybe making some alterations, but yeah, I don't know. He had some blistering pace out of the pits. He was flying around. He's saying wasn't going to make up 2 laps on the field. Was 18 seconds, but just too far back. A shame. Was really looking forward to this race. It is a massive shame, Jazzman here. I was obviously he had really strong pace. I think you would have probably dominated it tonight. to be fair. Gutting obviously for yourself, and shame we can see you delivering on that potential. But we've currently got Recco leading this race, and he's got about it's been a 12-second gap approximately for the last few laps. Let's see if Spaz has managed to make any inroads on that gap. No, in fact Recco's pulled out a bit more over the last lap, so Recco's now got it over 13 seconds here, and he's looking more and more in control of this race as it goes on. Didi keeping the gap to Spaz at around 3 seconds. Obviously those two had a bit of a collision earlier on, and that gap is not going up and it's not really going down either. It's just kind of hanging it around the same. You've got Denny Boy still on the back of Pete Bibb, and he's actually really close here coming into the bus stop. This might be Denny's best chance, as Pete Bibb really got onto that curve there coming through the Blanchimont. Down towards the bus stop we come. Denny Boy looking to the inside, showing his nose, but not close enough. Pete Bibb there covering that line, and there's no way through there for Denny in that situation. But coming out of the last corner, what can Denny do down the start finish straight? I don't think he's got a good enough exit there. Pete Bibb holds on for the time being, but Denny is so close to him through this part of the track this time around, and may have a good chance. You can get a good run coming through Eau Rouge and Radion. He might be able to set him up coming down the Camel Straight. In fact, he's got a good run out of the source. Pete Bibb is a little bit compromised there, but we're coming up to Eau Rouge. You can't pass into Eau Rouge realistically. Denny pulling out the situation, trying to pull alongside. He's not going to be able to. Tucks in for the time being. Up Eau Rouge we come. Now through Radion. Pete Bibb there looked like he was a little bit wide. Denny though riding over that curve a little bit down that Camel Straight. Now we come, and Denny's in that slipstream. Can he get enough overspeed? Can he make the use of that toe? Down towards Lacombe we come. Pete Bibb is going to, I think, just hold on. Lacombe is going to come just in time for that Lexus, and the McLaren powerless to move past at the moment. But Denny Boy creeping closer and closer and closer. That was his best chance of getting ahead of Pete Bibb for P8. Diamenta still running in P4. Is got Nilsson now right up his chuff here as they're coming through the middle sector. Diamenta, big slide there, massive bit of oversteer as he's still trying to correct it. He's gone off, he's gone wide, and Nilsson swoops through there up into 4th place. Archie's going to come around the outside there, and it's going to take P5 as well. So Diamenta losing 2 places in the space of about 200 meters there. And he's going to be kicking himself with that one. Just a little mistake as he came through Campus Corner, overcorrected the car. Looked like he'd saved it, and then got another bit of snap oversteer. Suspension wobbling all over the place, and he's down to P6 here. Nilsson up into P4, Archie into 5th. As Denny Boy is currently in 9th, still on the back of Pete Bibb, 7/10 of a second, currently separating those two. Windsor's been passed by Cod. Cod has now got the gap up to a second to Windsor. I think Cod was behind Windsor before until recently. So
Cod and Windsor have been switching place. They've Cod's had a little bit of an issue. And,
yeah, so Cod Lundy not having the night at all. He obviously started from the pit lane, didn't really up in time at the start. So it's been a tricky night so far for Codlinger, but nonetheless running in P11, he'll get some decent points for his troubles here so far, as Denny is in the pits, so he'll be coming in to make his mandatory pit stop by the looks of it here at the end of lap 15. So yeah, he's going to be, I guess, getting it done and out of the way. Grey Wolf is also the other driver to have done his pit stop already, but everybody else has obviously still got theirs to do. Nilsson's got a gap of just over a second to Archie. Diamenta still keeping these two in sight at the moment. Obviously made his mistake on that a couple of laps ago and ended up surrendering the positions to those two. But I would say at this point that Spaz and Didi are not out of the battle for the win here. 16 seconds covers the top 3 drivers, but we're nearly 40 minutes into the race, and well, it's about 18 seconds now to be fair, but these two, Spaz and Didi, did lose about 10 seconds when they crashed into each other. If it wasn't for that, then yeah, it'd be a bit closer, and we don't know what strategy these guys are on either. You know, Spaz and Didi are saving tyres, or they're planning it, or maybe they put more fuel in, perhaps they full tanked it. You could probably 3/4 tank it, maybe even 2/3 each way, and make it to the end. So you could save yourself maybe half a second a lap by putting a bit less fuel in. So we don't know if anybody's maybe deployed that tactic. So that could be in play. We just don't know at this point. But Reco looking like he's. Oh, Grey Wolf's in the pits again. Oh wow, why? He's already been in. I wonder if it's his. Oh yeah, I wonder if it's his. I wonder if Grey Wolf was saying in the Discord earlier in the week that he's struggling a bit with an issue with his legs. So I don't know whether or not this is maybe that issue popping up again. Hopefully it isn't. Well, crossing our fingers that isn't the problem here. But nonetheless, he is into the pits again. Yeah, Diment in the pits, making his mandatory stop. Cod, that's his mandatory as well. Obviously, Denny Boy's already done his, so Denny Boy, Cod making their mandatory pit stops. Dimenta also coming in. He's coming into the box right now. But the big question here is Grey Wolf. Is he out of the race, or is he just coming in for an additional stop? Has he picked up a bit of damage, or maybe the tyres going off a bit? We're going to have to wait and see on this one. As Nilsson is within a second of Archie here in his battle for 4th place. Dimenta obviously in that battle as well, but he's in the pits making his pit stop. So Grey Wolf, it says that he's made his stop, so he's now good to go. He should, if he is continuing, he should be, obviously he's made his pit stop already in this race, but has he retired the car? Has he had to bring it in and call it a day? Keeping an eye on the YouTube stream, keeping an eye on the Discord to see if we have any word yet on whether or not Grey Wolf is going to be carrying on in this race. But Nilsson still on the back of Archie right now as these two battle out of 4th and 5th. In fact, Archie's pulled out a bit of a gap to Nilsson over the course of this lap. So Nilsson might have made a mistake there coming to the middle sector, and that might be a bit of a spurring on there for Dimenta, as he now knows that he can push it a little bit more, maybe get in between and possibly get ahead of both of them by the time obviously Archie and Nilsson come in and make their pit stop. Grey Wolf has left the pit, so he's continuing on. So he's not calling it a day. Maybe it was a bit of damage on the car which was preventing him from staying out. Oh, Nilsson's off. Oh yeah, he is. He's come off coming through Blanchimont. That's going to give Archie a lot of breathing space now, and Dimenta will almost definitely come out ahead of Nilsson at this point. Nilsson coming through the bus stop. Is he going to come into the pits now? He seems to be struggling a bit. He is coming into the pits, saving his flushes a little bit there, but falling apart. You're right, yeah, Didi coming in. Didi TKU maybe trying to get the jump on Fuzz. Those two running in P2 and 3. They're a little way off of Reco, but the slightest little mistake from Reco that could bring either of these guys back into this race. This is far from over at this point. The Reco Vantage currently doing everything right here tonight at Spa. Obviously, won last week at the Hungaroring. That was his first race of the season. He missed the opening round of the season at Alton Park, so he's known from the get-go that he's got quite a bit of catch-up to play here in this one. But he's been very, very strong. He's been just cracking on with the job over the last couple of weeks. Hasn't let the points deficit really get to his head too much. He's been doing his own thing, and right now has got a comfortable gap out the front. Didi in the pits, Nilsson in the pits. Obviously Nilsson came in before Didi. Didi's quite some way ahead of him. Windsor in the pits now as well, making his mandatory pit stop. So it's just the top 6 now have still got to come in to make their stop. And the rest of them have all now been
Danny
in.
Boy's off in front of me.
Oh, Denny Boy's got big damage. He's got quite a hefty amount of front end damage there. He already had a bit before, but I think he's picked up some more here.
He flew off at the wall in front of me.
Yeah, that would make a bit of sense there. Thing is, the difficult thing for Denny Boy is he's already made his pit